Hi, good evening. Welcome back to our Better Sex, Better Life Facebook Live. So today we are back to our Setia Alam branch with Jasmine, and today our topic is talking about enhancing your sex life. I think a lot of time we hear a lot of couples, especially long-term relationship couple, that say, "Oh, I lost my desire," right? So today we are talking about how to ignite this desire and passion, and how to enhance our sex life. Maybe through sex toys, sex pillow. Okay, so there are so many different kind of activities that we can do to ignite it. So let's talk about it, Jasmine.
Yes.
So let's talk about what is actually desire and passion.
So desire and passion. So we always hear this, and sometimes we use it interchangeably.
Yeah.
But basically, desire is this strong feeling of wanting the other person, of longing the other person. Whereas passion is this excitement or interest in that person. It's kind of, you have intense emotion, you have intense attraction towards that person.
But how can you keep this desire and passion when you are with someone who is so long, right? Because desire, you say, is the feelings of
The feeling of wanting that person.
But if that person is always by your side, how would you have that desire? I think that happens a lot with a long-term marriage couple, that your partner is always just beside you, and they tends to say that, I lost the desire.
Yeah, and that's very normal. I think it's also very important to sort of remember or realize that when it comes to passion and desire, especially in relationship, it changes, right? In the beginning, we are so excited. We're so like everything about a person. We're so eager to talk to that person. We're so eager to get to know that person.
Yeah.
And then, as time goes on, yes, it kind of changes because we're always with each other. We're always talking to each other. So just pretty much understanding that desire and passion differs across the relationship. It evolves, it expands and all of that. And so how do we kind of make sure that it stays alive or something? Also, one thing I realized, I learned that as human beings, we are novelty seekers.
Okay.
So we're always longing for something exciting and interesting.
Like
so
mystery, right?
Mystery and excitement and something different. If it's mundane, you're just like, So there are a few things which I guess we will go through it in a bit. So we have, enhancing it through, kinks and fetishes and toys and, all of that. But I think the first one is just really understanding that it changes throughout the relationship and it's very normal.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times, when you're in a long-term relationship, the person is so available, right? But when you're talking about desire, it's also about scarcity. You're not able to see that person, then you start to miss that person. That's why the desire is aroused, right? So if you never see a person for some time, then you longing to see the person. That is also desire.
Yeah.
But if the person is always beside you, that can become a routine, and that can also kill the desire. So how can a long-term relationship couple to not stuck in a routine all the time, right? So adding some spices inside our relationship will definitely help. So let's talk about what is the first step to enhance this desire and passion in the relationship.
Yeah, so I think like one of the things is that it's about friendship.
Okay.
It's kind of so like friendship, but having this thriving friendship that we have with our partner, it's not just kind of like, oh yeah, you do this, I do that, but sort of like really, be there for that person, sort of getting to know that person and just really holding space. The previous episode we were talking about holding space, and just really what that means is that you're sitting with them and you're actively listening, and you're not just listening to respond, you're not listening to react, but just like as a friend, you're listening. Another one is, and this is a study that they made, is that having sort of equal choices, or having to equally create sort of decisions equally, practice equality in the relationship. So when it comes to chores, for example, right? You know, having both parties do their part in the chores instead of just one party, or just having decision making in terms of financially and all of that. So there's a study that says that it actually makes couples happier when you have some sort of equality within the relationship as well.
I think when we talk about passion, it's all about curiosity as well, right? So sometimes when you know someone for so long, you tend to take the person for granted and you stop listening because you think that, oh, I already know this person so well, and you
There's nothing else new, nothing new to know.
Yes. So I think if you see couples who still have that type of desire in their relationship, it's always, you surprise me. You know, after 10 or 20 years, you still surprise me because it's all about a person evolving and you still stay curious about your partner. I think at an early relationship, we are always curious. You know, tell me about you, your childhood, everything. But when you know the person so well, you tend to lose this curiosity. That's how the passion tends to die off, I would think.
And also, I think on that note as well, like I read this book and they were talking about how, you know, the ability to look at your partner in a different lens as well. You know, you're so used to them being like your you know, your husband, your spouse, your wife, or like the mother of your child. But when you're able to sort of look at them a different way and just kind of like, oh, like, you know, they look a certain way and I think they're really attractive this way. That also helps in sort of igniting some sense of desire, some sense of passion as well.
Agree. I think at times when you see your partner when on stage, on social events, you tend to see them from far, and suddenly you realize, you know, I really admire this person. I think, you know, looking at a person at different lens is also very important, just to break the routine. You know, sometimes when we're, of course, the routine will give us a lot of comfort. I'm not saying that routine is not good. Routine is also good, but if it's 100% routine, things become so predictable, passion and desire tends to die off, right? So I always believe in scheduling sex. What do you think? Does scheduling sex will actually ignite the desire and passion?
I believe so. I mean, you know, like I never thought of scheduling sex until I think you brought it up at one point, and then I sort of kind of do that with my partners as well. And what I found out is that when you schedule sex, it's when you think about it, you feel like it's not sexy, you feel like it's not attractive, but the thing is, it's really interesting because it really helps you to be mindful, to really be attentive to whatever you're feeling. So when you're scheduling sex, you're actually putting aside on one day to be fully there for your partner. So you're preparing your body, you're preparing your mind, you're being more attentive, you know,
anticipation.
Anticipation. You probably have a sense of foreplay before you even enter the bedroom by texting like, hey, what are you going to wear? How are we going to do this? You know, so I like it.
So I really believe in scheduled sex. Of course, you know, impromptu sex can be also fun, but I think especially long-term relationship couples, sometimes sex become convenient sex, right? Like, or just being convenient, and
it's just there.
If it's so too much of a routine, you tend to kill the desire. So scheduling sex will actually create that anticipation, because your husband knows that he's going to get it on Friday night. You know, starting from Wednesday, Thursday, he's, you know, treating you nicer and nicer towards the end of the week.
I think desire, like, don't just wait until desire it comes at a spontaneous moment. I think it's also about fostering it. It's also about really taking care of it and just, you know, work towards it. Basically, it's a working thing.
And also when you schedule sex, you can also schedule your day better. You know, send your kids to your in-laws. You know, you tend to want to relax yourself more, not overwork on that day, and maybe, you know, self-care, especially women, we would like to smell good and look sexy on that day. I think women takes a longer time to prep ourselves into that environment. So I think scheduling sex is definitely one way to ignite your passion and desire. And of course, I think play. And when we are talking about play, I think lubrication is number one. So lubrication, I think when a couple when I ask a couple, do you have a lubricants? They usually say, oh, I don't need. I said, no, you don't know how to play. So what do you think of lubrication? How does that can enhance the sex?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you watch our previous episode, and I hope you do, because all of our episodes are really amazing, we were talking about lubrication as well. So lubrication it's really good in enhancing because it reduces pain. You know, I think when it comes to sort of penetrative sex, fingering, toys, or penis, if you're dry, and it happens, sometimes we get really, really lubricated naturally, we get wet, but in the middle of it, we might lose lubrication, and that's completely normal as well. It's just our bodies. And so when that happens, that's where lube kind of comes in. Actually, even before that, even if you're wet, lube kind of comes in. It really enhances the pleasure, reduces the pain.
Yes. And also, if you want to have a long love-making sessions, right? So I think lubrication will enhance the whole process, and it makes your play much more enjoyable and pleasurable. So I think if you don't have a loops, maybe that itself will actually enhance your desire. And I think a lot of times when we sell our lubricants to our client, they like can't wait to go home to try it. Right? And they can even send to the husband, okay, I bought this, and sometimes the husband say, oh, I'm impressed. You know, that you take efforts to go and do something for our sex life. So I think small things like this can actually really ignite the desire in the relationship.
I think it also changes the way you view sex as well. I mean, with lube, because for a lot of us who may get dry easily or not easily, doesn't matter, right? In the middle of sex, you might get dry, and that's normal. We might feel very painful. We might feel uncomfortable. So sometimes when that happens, whenever we think of sex, we straight away think about like, oh, uncomfortable, painful, and everything. But with lube, whenever you apply lube, all of that sex equals discomfort will be reduced because now it's more pleasurable, it's more comfortable. So it's a set of mind.
If you have not tried, please go and try it. Okay, so then of course there are other things that people say, oh, you know, after in a long-term relationship for too long, gets boring, we want to add some kinks and fetishes in. But a lot of people are also very judgmental about this. Can you just explain a little bit what actually kinks and fetishes mean?
I love this particular thing. I love talking about kinks. I love talking about fetishes because I think not many people talk about it, and understandably so. It's very much taboo for a lot of people. So kinks are basically things that you find interesting or exciting that is out of the norm sexually. So these are things such as sort of like a particular action that someone does, and then you don't necessarily need it in bed, but if you have it, it really enhances the experience. So it could kind of be sort of, I don't know, like spanking, for example. It can be sort of talking dirty, for example. So those sort of kink can be a turn on for some people. Fetishes, on the other hand, is this interest towards a particular body part, particular person, a particular item, so that you need for you to feel turned on. So some people cannot have sex without leather, for example. They have a leather fetish, they have a foot fetish, so they need to have to incorporate that in sex in order for them to get turned on. And if they don't have that, they don't find it arousing.
But without exploring, would you know what is your fetish?
I would say you wouldn't necessarily know, because I think with fetishes it requires a lot of exploration, a lot of really going out of your comfort zone, sort of getting inspired by other people, by reading all these different things. So I don't know, like for me, I won't say it's a kink, but I will find it a turn on if I see guys who are sort of domesticated, kind of like going to the supermarket, pushing the trolley, and I'm just like, like I don't need it, but if I see it, I like it.
Okay, we will see Jasmine in groceries.
I know.
Okay. Now what? I know where to date you next time.
I know. Like
groceries buy.
Buy me the groceries.
Okay. So yeah, so I would think when you talk about fetishes, without exploring, sometimes maybe it's hard. So maybe we should start with very simple things like maybe starting with fur or leather or silk. I mean, start with simple items. Then maybe you can explore into what other things that you think out of norm that people will have fetishes in. Food fetish, I think, is quite a common thing that we hear.
It's a common thing. It's still very much taboo. I mean, the next question will be talking about what are different kinks, but actually we can talk about it right now as well.
Yeah.
Like all the different kinks and all the different fetishes. So there are, things like food fetish, leather fetish. There are also sort of age play. Age play fetish. So when someone likes, act as if like someone's way older, so they call the partner daddy, and they call the partner mommy. Also a playful thing. So there's also BDSM. It's like a bondage. What else? There is voyeurism.
Okay, so I used to have a partner who told me that his fantasy is being paid.
Being paid?
Paid, like
pegged.
Interesting. Like he's being paid for sex, like that.
Being paid for sex.
Yeah, that's the fantasy. So I said, I don't mind to pay you in rupee or in Japan yen.
So those are role playing, right? Because like when we think about role playing, we only think about doctor and nurse. We think about police, but there's also this part of role playing, being paid.
Okay, so is that considered a fetish?
Yeah, that's considered part of the kink, part of fetish. I think it's like more of a kink. Like probably he doesn't need it in order to be aroused, but if he has it, it'll be exciting. So
why do you think kinks and fetishes will enhance the sex life?
I think it's just with kinks and fetishes, it is something different. It is something out of the ordinary. It's something out of the norm. So we have this thing where we call vanilla sex. And then we have kinky sex. So like with vanilla sex, it's mostly, and whatever sex or whatever preference that you have, it is very valid, it is very real. It's our own personal preferences, right? So when it comes to vanilla sex, it's kind of like the same position, kind of just in the bedroom. When it comes to kinky and explorative sex, you are going out of the bedroom. You're probably having sex in the kitchen. You're probably flirting in other, places. So it's just something different. It's something to break the norm, to break sort of the schedule and the routine. And it's exciting.
So I'm just thinking, just now we talk about food fetishes, right? So maybe of course, a lot of time when we hear fetishes, we might start judging a person. Oh, why this person is so weird, so obsessed with the food, right? But I'm just thinking, if you were to stand from a point of view of his partner or her partner, maybe it's very pleasurable, he's going to give her foot massage, I mean, kissing your feet is like, wow, this person is, I think it's a different kind of intimate, right? That a person is willing to kiss your feet.
I think with someone, if you have a partner, and it's really true, because sometimes we can find it a bit weird. We can find it a bit odd. You're into food fetishes, like, oh, that's really weird. But I think it's also really important to know that if someone were to open themselves up to talk about their kinks and fetishes, they're actually being very vulnerable.
And they feel safe with you.
They feel safe with you.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, of course, there are also a lot of myths around fetishes and sex toys, especially. I think a lot of time people think, oh, if you need a sex toys, means your hubby or your partner is not doing a good job, right? It seems like, why do you need to add sex toys into your sex life? So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to pleasure, I feel there's so many different types of pleasure that we can explore. Yes, we can explore through sex and through masturbation, but I think a sex toy kind of like level things up in a sense where you can feel sensation that you never realized. You never knew that, oh, this part of my body feels good or that part of my body feels good. It's a different type of thing. So I think if anything, sex toy is not a competition. If anything, it is actually an aid.
Yeah.
It actually helps to enhance pleasure. And in case, for example, if your partner already has an orgasm and they're probably tired, this is where sex toy kind of comes in. They can also join in while you're using the sex toy. They could be kissing you, they could be caressing you while you have the sex toy around. So it is to aid instead of to compete.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, again, a lot of people have a very narrow definition about sex. So when you are making love, there's so many levels of sensation and different sensation, right? So you need, of course, orgasm is a lot of people look forward to. But other than orgasm, you can have so many different sensations. And of course, your hand or your kissing, touching, that is one type of sensation. But with having toys, there are vibration, maybe like prostate massage. So this is the thing. I have so much of reading about prostate massage, right? Like this is the G spot for men. But I would say maybe 90% of the men have not experienced that.
Yeah, which is a shame, I think. But I mean, hey, to each their own, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's something that you're curious about, if it's something that you want to explore, go for it, right?
Yeah.
If it's not really yet, I'm like, maybe in the future.
Yeah. So a lot of times when people think about sex toys, they always think it's only dildo and vibrator. So there's so much more. So maybe you want to elaborate what are the fun sex toys that we can.
So one of the misconceptions, and this is very fair, is that sex toys are only meant for women. They're only toys for women. And no, there are also toys for men. And it's actually really the sex toys for penises are really up and coming in the market. So you have, yes, for penises, you have the fleshlight, even the fleshlight.
Fleshlight? What is that?
So fleshlight is kind of like this cylinder thing that you kind of put on the penis and you kind of like move it on your own. And now it's really, technology has really grown. So what you do is you just put the fleshlight there, it actually moves inside. There's rotation inside. There's different type of feeling and sensation. There are also like the small Tenga eggs that people kind of use as well. And there are also dolls and and partner toys as well.
So you can invite dolls to have a threesome, right?
Yeah, you can dolls to have a threesome. And then especially also with vulvas, you have vibrators, you have dildos, you have vibrating dildos, you have clit suckers. There's just so many, a variety of different things. You just have to explore.
So I'm just wondering, if you would to use sex toys, will it overstimulate your genital area, and then you become less sensitive to vaginal penis penetration? Will that happen?
So like I think imagine of our genitals as a muscle. So if we sort of if we go to the gym, we overwork our muscles, we get really cramps, right? We get really stiff or we get really cramped, and you kind of have to like rest for a bit, rest for a few days, recovery, and then your muscles will go back again, and then you feel okay again. So it's kind of the same thing with using toys. You use it a lot. I mean, if you use it normally, like it's okay, like there's nothing for you to worry. But if you use it consistently so many times, overstimulate, overuse yourself, of course you will feel numb or you won't feel much sensation. But just give it a rest, or go the old-fashioned way. Just use the finger, just use the hand.
I think it's all about moderation, like how we eat, right? If you overstuff yourself too much, then you start to be less sensitive to taste. So if you start fasting, then suddenly after 3 days of fasting, you can taste the food better. So I think sex is also the same. If you overstimulate it, you need to maybe fast a little bit so that it go back to neutral feeling, so that you can make it sensitive again, I would say.
Yeah, but also like again, like what you said earlier, that there's so much more to sex than just penetrative sex, right? Or there is the foreplay, there's the touching, there's the the brain. The brain is the biggest sexual organ to have conversations and all of that. Different things. So if you want to take a rest from penetrative sex or like genital area, whatever, do other stuff.
So if I wanted to ignite the passion or the desire with my partner with words like dirty talking. So what do you recommend?
what would I recommend for dirty talking? How does one start with dirty talking? I think it's just compliments.
Compliments.
I think compliments, I think the most basic. I mean, when we think of dirty talking, we think of like the worst things, you know, the worst things to say to a partner. But you can just start with things like, you know, I love it when you wear it like that.
Yeah, I think
love
you
it
look
when you
so
smell.
sexy
Yeah.
in that tie or something, right?
You
In
look so
that
sexy.
underwear.
You make me really turn on right now. I just, you know, like those are the kind of dirty talking. Those are the sensual part. Of course, there are also the rough type of dirty talking. Like, I want to treat you like a, you know, all of that. But yeah, if you've never tried dirty talking before, just as simple as, oh, you make me really,
I think you need to start practicing it, or else your husband will thinking, why after 20 years this lady start talking dirty?
No, but it's good also, right? Because then suddenly, oh, something different, like desire enhanced already.
Yeah. So I think, you know, again, you know, for long-term couple, you can start with simple things like dirty talking. You can start with lubrication. You can have sex toys. So there's so many things that you can add in. You can role play.
Role play.
So you can just pass a hotel card to your husband and say, I will meet you there. Kind of things. Yeah. So I think just break the routine a bit.
Yeah. Or just ask them, hey, is that something that you've always wanted to try that we can try together? I think that's also like a great first question, because sometimes we don't know, right? Or we don't have any idea. So you can always just ask like, hey, is there something you've never tried before? Is there something you want to try? Let's do something different this time. Then it's like, oh, okay, let's do it.
Okay, so maybe a lot of people has not really explored sex toys. Any recommendation for couples? What are sex toys?
Yes.
Should they start with?
So if you're in a straight relationship, you're in a heterosexual relationship, one of the best toys that I would recommend is a vibrating penis ring. That's always really fun, and there are a lot of those as well. So vibrating penis ring, especially if you're a clitoris, if you're someone who gets orgasm or gets aroused from clitoral stimulation, a vibrating penis ring could help you. So if you're doing missionary, for example, if you're on top, no, not missionary, if you're doing cowgirl, for example, and you know, when your partner uses the vibrating penis ring and you sit on it, it actually you can adjust it that it vibrates on your clit. And it feels kind of nice. There are also
I need to buy one today.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. Vibrators are also something fun as well. Like it's not only meant for the clitoris or the vulva. You could also use it on the penis too, especially like under the testicle. It's very sensitive.
Okay, that's good. That's very good tips. So today, quickly go and search for some sex toys and book it, and book your husband this weekend.
Oh, there's another one I forgot to mention. There's also the Bluetooth vibrator.
The what?
So
Bluetooth vibrator.
It's a Bluetooth vibrator. So what it does is that it's a hands-free vibrator. You kind of put it inside of you, and your partner has the control.
Wow.
So you put the control on your partner's phone, for example, and then maybe you can go to the supermarket.
Wow.
You know, I love my supermarket. So you can go to the supermarket, you can go anywhere, and then your partner can, like, you know, as you're walking, your partner just adjusts it, like. Yeah.
Oh my God. So if you see Jasmine walking and stop halfway, you know what happened.
Yeah, especially if you see someone behind me laughing.
Okay, that's really interesting, right? So you can actually do your weekly grocery shopping with your husband and add this fun into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what are the other pleasure accessories out there besides just a toy?
Like you were saying earlier about scarf.
Okay.
Silk scarf, you kind of like, you know, you don't, because when we think about, you know, we need to buy toys, we don't necessarily, because sometimes toys can be pricey, especially really good ones, right? So you can just use whatever you see in your house, like a scarf to kind of, you know, blindfold your partner, or sort of like tie your partner. Who knows? If you're very, like, you know, Burani, go for it, right? So blindfold, and as you're blindfolding them, you could sort of trace your mouth around their bodies. You could just have ice and just like trace it around. That's kind of, these are all the sensual parts. Another thing that I really like to incorporate as well is candles, smells to really enhance
Okay.
the desire and excitement.
So talking about this, I know that there's something that commonly people talk about is the ice and fire sensation for men, especially comes to oral sex. Does that something that people should try?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you say it's about the sensation, right? So maybe if we were to consume ice, we were to bite through ice or whatever, and then we give our partner oral, for example, it might be something different for him. It might be something exciting. So yeah, go for it.
And I would say sometimes don't think that this will give him an erection, because sometimes it might not. But it's a different sensation.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't always think that, you know, when you do something, the person needs to be very hard on. If not
Yes.
hard on, it's not pleasurable. No.
Yeah.
Even like sometimes, you know, you stroking his testicle area might not give him a hard on, but it's very pleasurable as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, I completely echo what you said.
Yeah.
Like, a hard on doesn't own. You don't need a hard on to have. You don't need an erection to have sex, or you don't need an erection to enjoy a session. Whatever that may be, it's still a pleasurable experience.
Okay, so go and hunt around your house to see what are the things that can give you different sensation, like fur, like silk, leather, ice, warm water, warm tea.
Yeah. All of that.
Okay, what are the sexual position that will be different, would help if it's a different body size, or I don't know, more pleasure, especially pregnant women maybe, you know?
So for me personally, I'm a plus size woman.
Okay.
So I've learned to sort of adjust myself according to my weight, according to my size. So for example, what I've learned is that, pillows are a big help.
Wow.
So pillows
Okay.
on your back, on
Okay.
your bum, or
Okay.
pillows on your belly if you're
Okay.
doing sort of doggy and all of
Okay,
that.
okay.
So pillows are your friend. Also, if you have knee problems, you have
Okay.
knee issues, especially if you're doing a certain move, especially for the
Okay.
guys, instead of sort of kneeling on the bed, you could always just stand by the side of the bed
Okay.
and kind of do your thing as well. There's just so many. I think when it comes to sex, it's not just one size fits all sort of
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
Whatever you see in porn would not be able to be applied in your life
Yeah,
because
true.
of different body sizes and everything. So just really find a way to make you comfortable.
And also, when you look at porn, it's really that their position is for the video camera, right?
Yes.
Like how
Yes.
they position it. So it might not be comfortable in real life. So I will say pornography is not a good reference, because their purpose is to entertain and to make the actor or actress looks good.
Correct.
Right? So it might not be applicable. So you need to try yourself. You know, sometimes women who are too skinny, they will have their challenges. Plus size might have their challenges. Pregnant women might have their challenges. So you need to explore and adjust. And pillow. So what type of pillow?
So there are sex pillows
Okay.
that they sell online.
Okay.
It can be quite pricey. So
Okay.
one of them is like a wedge pillow. So it's kind of like an angle a certain way. But
Okay.
hey, again, you don't have to like buy stuff.
Okay.
You can only just use it from your home.
How about swing?
Oh yes, swing is one that I've always wanted to try. I'm
Okay.
super curious. But yeah, there's swings that they sell. You can actually just like gantung on the door.
Yeah, so like 2 days ago, I was like browsing the internet and I saw something that gantung on the door. I was like, okay, see, I thought some exercise equipment or
Right.
something. So it was actually a swing. I was also very curious about it. Okay, so yeah, maybe you all try the swing and let us know how is the experience.
I love it. Y'all try to swing, and let us know.
Okay, so of course, understanding the sexual issue that may also contribute to unpleasurable sex. Usually, what are the sexual issue?
I think if we can, sort of like from today's topic, we can sort of wrap up all that we've talked about. I think at the end of the day, we can give you all of these sort of suggestions and ideas and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's about communication. I think in the previous episode, we were talking about communication. So just talking to your partner, telling them about your insecurities and will allow you to feel safe enough to then explore. Because I think once we are in a long-term relationship, we are really afraid that our partner may judge us, right? So being able to openly tell them, like, these are my insecurities, this is what I want to explore, and please don't judge me. This is my kinks, this is my fetishes that I just found out. So yeah, having those conversations will then help to enhance your sexual life.
So I think a lot of times, like, improving the physical will improve your mental as well. Like, example, when you set up the environment, you buy toys and things like that, you will set yourself and your partner in a different mindset. So I think for us, because we also do sexual health, right? This MCELA chair for stronger pelvic floor muscle, but because you are doing something physically, it actually makes you mentally wanting to try it. So like when we are talking about sitting on this chair for 28 minutes equals to 12,000 times of Kegel exercise. After doing 12,000 times of Kegel exercise, you will want to try it with your partner, right? So even for your husband, I think a lot of times when men come and sit this chair, then we will always say, okay, give us some good feedback tomorrow if this chair really works, right? Wow. Because for men, it's also very important to do their Kegels, right? Because for better erection, to prolong their ejaculation, you need a strong pelvic floor muscle. So today we are done talking about passions and desires. So if you are interested to know more about sexual education, we will see you again in 3 weeks' time. Okay, so thank you.
Bye.
Bye.